Do you have an emergency?
Today on Rescue 911. Plus,
we did smell alcohol on his breath.
a drunken teen puts EMTs on full alert on Rescue 911.
Greatness can be measured in the ability to inspire others and touch their lives. But sadly, that inspiration sometimes arises out of tragedy. On the night of March 1st, 1987, in Los Gatos, California, 17-year-old Brandon Silvera and a group of fellow athletes went to a party at a friend's house that would change their lives forever.
Everybody was having a really good time at the party. Nobody had a worry in the world. Everybody had a smile on their face and a drink in their hand. Brandon was definitely a party animal. We all were. I remember waking up to Brandon's car touching a guardrail. It was quite a shock and really scared the hell out of us.
Brandon drove each of his friends home. Jay Peart, who lived less than 5 miles from Brandon, was last.
When Brandon dropped me off, we were very, very tired.
Thanks for the ride, man.
I asked him if he was going to be all right, and he said, yep. And I said goodnight, and he left, never questioning his ability to make it home that night.
When we continue,
I cried myself to sleep that night. I told my mother several times over and over, I don't want to go to my friend's funeral. I don't want to see one of my friends die.
Orange 2, vehicle accident, no details.
a neighbor heard the crash and called 911.
Crash in Seven Springs area, control 2.
Members of the Santa Clara County Central Fire District were the first to arrive at the scene, including firefighter EMT Joe Viramontes.
Hey, buddy, you all right?
The vehicle had hit the tree with such impact that he drove the steering wheel up into the dash area, and he was wearing a seatbelt.
Okay, I'm bringing him back, on. Bringing him back.
Nice and easy.
Okay.
I started to assess the vital signs, and one thing that I noticed was the blood pressure started to widen, which means there was massive swelling in the brain area.
Okay, we got a 130/70 right now.
It appeared as though we may have a fatality on our hands.
No.
The driver of the second vehicle was shaken up, but not injured.
Okay, good.
Within 7 minutes of the call, an AMR Advanced Life Support Unit arrived, including paramedic Kimberly Roderick.
Okay.
How you doing, George? Good? I got to swing it around.
Watch out for the tree.
We put a backboard under the patient and pulled him out. We did smell alcohol on his breath. And it's a frustrating feeling because it's so avoidable.
Brandon's friend Jay was on his way to his girlfriend's when he happened to pass the accident scene.
As I came around the turn, I saw emergency vehicles everywhere. And as I got closer, I noticed the license plate on the car was one tough topaz. As much as I didn't want it to be, there's no question that that was Brandon's car.
The victim had not been carrying any ID. Jay told the investigating officer, Sheriff's Deputy Bruce Rack, that he knew the driver of the car.
He was highly agitated and very upset. I would be too if I saw the kind of damage that was involved in this accident. His first question to me was, is he dead?
Can you get a hold of him? Yeah. Your contact report's with you. Okay.
He instructed me at that point to go home and call Brandon's parents. Making that call was probably the hardest thing that I'd ever done.
Hello? Jay, what is it?
As a parent, the midnight phone call is something that we always dread.
Oh, God.
And he said he was in an accident. And it was just the most frightening words that we've ever heard.
They've taken him to San Jose Medical Center.
It started sinking in really, really hard, and I cried myself to sleep that night. I told my mother several times over and over, I don't want to go to my friend's funeral. I don't want to see one of my friends die.
Brandon was admitted to San Jose Medical Center under the care of Dr. James Hinsdale, the director of the trauma unit.
Whoa, what happened here? As soon as we saw him, we knew that this was a very severe head trauma. In many ways, one couldn't tell if he was even barely alive, except that we could get his pulse and blood pressure.
I took a moment to look at the car, and I thought to myself, there's no way he could be alive. The car was just devastated.
You take his driver, too.
Young people especially don't seem to understand that even the slightest amount of alcohol in their bloodstream can impair their driving ability. And it can be devastating not only to the person who's driving the car, but to their entire family as well.
Mr. and Mrs. Silvera, my name's Dr. Hinsdale.
When Brandon's parents, Tony and Shirley Silvera, arrived at the hospital, they were informed of his condition by Dr. Hinsdale.
The injuries are serious.
The CAT scan showed very serious injuries all throughout his brain. We weren't optimistic that he'd lead a normal life after looking at the seriousness of the brain injuries that we saw.
Remember I've told you he's combative, and that's usual for head injuries. He's also got a lot of tubes connected to him. Brandon's right here.
When I first saw Brandon at the hospital, honestly, he didn't look too bad.
He's not going to recognize you.
He looked like he was asleep.
Please do. Right ahead. Okay.
In my mind, I still felt that some miracle was going to happen and I was going to have Brandon back.
We can all do it together. We're here for you.
Keep fighting. Keep fighting. Brandon, there's so many people praying for you.
They couldn't tell us to what extent there was brain damage, but I wanted to believe that I would be accepting him in any state that he might be in. If it meant that he could never move again, that was okay, as long as we had him.
Buddy's here, pal, pulling for you. You can do it, huh, buddy?
I was feeling really guilty. Felt that I should have done something to, stop him from driving that night, from going home.
Please, stay here with us. We love you. Brandon would be lying there with his eyes open, but yet there didn't seem to be any response. Mom needs you. I love you. It was so painful. It made me sick to my stomach.
After 10 weeks in the hospital with little or no improvement, Brandon was transferred to the Greenery Rehabilitation Center, where he was treated by a team of therapists, including Dennis Gallegos.
When Brandon came into the facility, he wasn't doing anything. He was laying in bed with his eyes open, and that was it. But there was the feeling that we had someone who had some good potential.
This is an initial admission video on Brandon Silveria.
He had to relearn every single thing he knew how to do. He just didn't have to learn how to walk. He had to learn how to swallow again so that he could eat food. He had to learn how to think again because his memory was impaired.
As at the hospital, Brandon's friends and family visited him every day, even though he was not able to speak.
You're not stretching, you're pushing back. Bend forward.
On this one particular day, they were eating French fries and hamburgers, and they had milkshakes, and they were all laughing and having a great time. And so we walked over and I said hi, and they said, "Brandon, what do you say?" And Brandon said, "Hi, Mom."
Good afternoon. My name is, if you don't know, Brandon Silvera, and I would like to thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today.
It took 2 years for Brandon to progress far enough to be able to return home. Today, he talks to high school students about the dangers of drinking and driving.
I really hope that people can understand and hopefully are able to learn from me or what I've been through. I have the world at my fingertips. I had a job, a car, and a girlfriend. Then within seconds, it all changed forever. It all changed because of some stupid choices I made.
Brandon is very aware of his speech, and it's a constant aggravation for him. He said people look at him strange, and that's hurtful. It's hurtful to me. I want so desperately for him to be able to get his speech under control because he would like to do that. But I'm happy that he can even talk.
So please clearly understand one thing, and that's that you have to take responsibility for the choices you make.
Brandon Silvera is a hero because he struggled, he fought, he regained control over his life.
We'll force you to make wrong
He doesn't have fame, he doesn't have fortune, he's just got a lot of guts.
He has really overcome so many things, and every day I am so grateful that he's with us and he's still alive.
Good going. All right. Give me a kiss.
I'm getting much nourishment from this meal.
I want Brandon to know that I love him and I admire him for the incredible amount of drive and work that he's done to make his recovery. I'll always have time for him.
When I look at Brandon today, I see a jewel, and I am so proud of him. He's a good kid. I love him a great deal.
With the family that I have behind me, pushing me always to keep going, someday I might be so high up there you might never believe that it really is me up there.